It's taking forever.
It's dead in this town. You know? It's crazy. Gotta shake things up.
We were just waiting. We were just waiting for the intro. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Double A. This is your favorite podcaster, Amber and Arianne, and we have a special guest. As y'all can see, we've been trying to get her for like a year and a half now.
7, 8, 9,000 years. She's finally here.
We've lived through 3 lifetimes to finally get her here.
Just for a very exciting episode.
So, excuse my hair because I literally took a shower and just blow dried it, so it's like everywhere right now.
So
But anyway,
mine's everywhere.
Hers is a pink scalp, so don't even. She got pink scalp right now. Hot pink scalp, not just like regular pink scalp, but hot pink.
I thought you said pig scalp.
No,
I was
pink.
like, what?
Oh, no, pink scalp. So before, excuse me, I have dog hair. But before we talked about ghost stories, and the reason why we wanted our guest here is because she lived in a haunted house, I guess you could say. Several. I'm sorry, I would have been out.
She's a tough cookie.
Yeah, it was mainly one, and then a couple of things happened in a few other places I lived in.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about the first one?
The first one was when I was younger. I was around, I think, 8, 9 when we lived in the house, and we lived there till I was about 12. But all kind of strange things would happen in this house. You know, it's like we could go to school in the morning and my mom would swear she would still hear us running up and down the steps playing and stuff. There were times where, you know, my parents would be at work at night and my siblings were gone with them, so I was at home alone. And all kind of things would happen. One particular night, my friend, one of my best childhood friends, she had came over and we had started seeing things happening in the house and hearing noises. And we were playing in the living room, and then the doors opened and closed. So our answer was to, don't know why, we were children. We ran outside, grabbed a brick, ran back in the house, and got on the dining room table holding a brick. I don't know what that was going to do for us. But that's what we did.
Hold a brick? Like a brick?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
one of those red bricks.
You gonna throw a brick at a ghost?
We were like, I think we were like 10, 11 at the time. Yep. We was holding on to that brick. I guess we thought it was going to combat the ghost. I don't know. But there was one time, I think it was around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. No one was home. And now this was a really big house. It had, I know, 4 or 5 bedrooms. You know, it had the formal living room, dining room, den, big kitchen, and every room had a door that led to the next room.
Right.
So there was not like a traditional hallway, just every room connected. So one night, I was in the den and I kept hearing this baby crying. And where we lived, there was nobody next door but a church. But there was no residents, so I shouldn't have been hearing a baby crying at this time of the night. So I decided to get my father's flashlight and go figure out where this baby is, because it'd been crying for a long time. So I proceeded to go out the back door. And when you go out our back door, there was a large barn to the right, and then there were a couple of other buildings, a smokehouse, a cell house. But in between the barn and one of the other buildings, it led to the garden. In the garden, I think it was like maybe, I want to say 2 acres. I might be wrong on the on how big it was, but it was a large garden, and it formed an L shape. So I could tell that the baby crying was coming from that direction. So I
Mm-hmm.
started walking back here in the garden, back there in the garden. And when I got to the part to where it made the left into the L shape, I seen this lady in a rocking chair in the middle of the garden. She had a white gown on and she was rocking the baby. She did have blood on her gown, but she was rocking the baby, and I was stunned. I'd never seen anything like that before. And I closed my eyes, and when I opened them back up, they were gone. They were gone, and I didn't hear the baby crying anymore.
So
Did that happen?
that's like, you know how last time we talked about ghost stories, I asked, why does it always seem like when there's like a woman ghost, she's always portrayed in something white?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Like it's always white with like either long hair. Like it doesn't matter what time period, you know,
Mhm.
this is she's always wearing white, it
Maybe
seems.
it's the represent of the Virgin Mary. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if I die, I come back to haunt somebody and I'm wearing white.
You
I
better not, because your ass is not virginal.
I just know if I come back as a ghost and I'm in a white gown, y'all gonna know something's wrong because I don't wear no white gown.
And you don't wear a gown, period.
That's what I'm saying. Just know that
If
ain't
she
me
comes
in that
back,
white gown.
I know you're not a ghost. I'm gonna hit you with this brick. I know it's gonna hit you for real.
But have you seen that particular ghost after that?
I never seen it again. Never heard the baby cry again.
Interesting. I wonder what that could have meant. If
I,
it was a sign or something.
I don't know.
Interesting. So, what's the scariest experience you've ever had?
Probably the scariest was I was in my bedroom, and now my parents, their bedroom was right on the other side of the wall of mine. So our headboards were on the same wall.
Yeah.
And I I got scared because it felt like somebody had sit down on my bed with me, and I'm looking around and I don't see anybody. But I felt somebody sit down, and I began to get scared, and I didn't really do anything at this time because I'm trying to figure out, is that what's really going on? I mean, did I really feel somebody sit here? And then I felt it lay down beside me. That's when I lost it. I started screaming and crying, and I was hitting on the wall trying to get my parents to come in there. And my dad did. He came in there, and of course, he whooped me and told me to be quiet.
Sorry.
And
Sounds about right.
yeah, he told me to stop making up stuff. So
Mm.
I started crying, of course, after I got my ass whooped. And what happened? Now, this is what scared me. It's like I could smell this cologne in the room, and it reminded me of my grandfather. And whatever was in there, it cradled me and started rocking me. Now, by this time, I'm so petrified, I'm not even crying anymore. I'm barely breathing because I'm a little child and I don't really know what's going on here.
Right.
So that was like the most scariest time. But I will tell you, after that, I didn't, it didn't bother me so much to see the things I was seeing there and to experience it. I just learned to not have fear with it. As long as I didn't have fear, it didn't bother me. But if I was happy, I was extremely happy. If I was mad, I was extremely mad. Whatever emotion you had in that house, it seemed to intensify it.
Right. Did you feel like somewhat safe when, like, in that house? Like, did you? I don't know how to say it. Like, cause you know sometimes, I like I've seen or not seen, but I've read in instances where people have like experienced this type of stuff, and
Mhm.
it's either like a family member that they're actually really close to, and they'll feel scared at first because it's something that you don't ever want to experience regardless,
No, you don't.
but they somewhat feel some like calm. Even though they're scared, they feel calm and they feel safe knowing that it's nothing's really going to harm them physically.
It really it depends on what type you have in your house, because for me, like I said, after I learned just to calm down and not focus on it so much, just kind of be like, okay, whatever, just act like it's a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really bother me as much. I just learned, I guess I adapted. I learned to deal with it.
Right.
Whereas, like my mom, it was totally different for her. She wound up almost having a nervous breakdown over it. She got to where she was in the bed and never would get up. So it's I think it's different. I think it's just how certain people deal with it.
Yeah, I'd be terrified, honestly. Like I'm always terrified. If I feel something, nope, I'm out of there. Like I'm not even gonna sit there and ponder, okay, what's going on? Like you grab the flashlight, my ass will be hiding underneath the blanket and not coming out. Like I done told Amber, I had in my parents' house, I was asleep in my sister's bed. Like she wasn't there. I forgot where she was at.
Hmm.
But something, came into her room at my parents' house, and I flipped out and hid underneath the blanket. Now I couldn't breathe underneath my blanket, and I was scared to where I all I did, I covered everything else, but my nose was sticking up in the air because I thought if I left any kind of body part out this covers, it's gonna drag me down. Cause it was around that time where what was it? Don't Look Under Your Bed. That movie came out.
Oh, that was
Oh.
so cheesy. That
Look,
was the
I'm
cheesiest
terrified.
movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you did throw
like
your cell phone the other time, the last time we watched the movie together. You
I,
did.
I hurt. I sprained my whole arm, and I threw my cell phone, and it was just like, look,
Yeah.
nope, no. So I don't know how you can be brave enough to be like, well, I'm gonna go to sleep, knowing that something's walking around hell. Mm-mm.
So, have you experienced poltergeist?
In what aspect?
Um, so do you know what a poltergeist is technically? Like the true meaning of a poltergeist?
Define it.
The true meaning of a poltergeist is basically just residual energies from people left over, which can manifest inside objects and move objects and throw objects. So, say like Francie and I lived together and we just argued every day and we couldn't stop arguing. All that energy has to go somewhere. All that energy that we're spitting out is going somewhere. So it'll jump inside furniture. So poltergeist is when you start seeing the furniture spin around and being thrown around and stuff like that. Have you dealt with those kind of energies?
I have.
Now,
Um,
how that make you feel?
well, those things started happening after my adjustment, so it didn't affect me probably as the way it would someone else, because it's not normal to see things move on its own. It's
Right.
just not normal. We used to see like the speakers. My dad used to have them on the wall. You know, um, and they would literally come off the wall, meet in the middle of the room, levitate for a minute, and then drop. You know, things would just randomly move, be thrown. Um, that house, I really think that whatever was in that house probably manifested in my dad, because his anger was so bad in that house. When we moved from that house, he still had anger issues, but it was nowhere near like he acted in that house.
Yeah.
That house is really. I mean, there's many stories regarding that house. Um, like I could tell y'all, like one day I came in from school. You know, my grandma, she was in her room, and she had two chairs that were placed in front of the wood stove. She was in a full blown conversation, but there was no one in that other chair. And I just sit there paused. I didn't have the door all the way open. It was like I had it cracked because I started coming in. I heard her talking to somebody, so I didn't want to interrupt. But then when I seen there was no one there. And this was back before cell phones. This was back in the 80s. So our landline, it was in the formal living room. So there wasn't a phone in her room. So I sit there and I listen to the conversation, and she's laughing and talking. And then I heard her call a name out, and she calls the lady Miss Green. And it just amazed me. She's in this and you heard pauses where as if somebody else was talking and everything. So the next day I was still really puzzled about it. And I had a substitute teacher that day. And I went in the classroom still puzzled and worried. And I talked to my substitute teacher about it. And, I was in a small town, so she knew what house I lived in. And then she told me, she said, "Oh, I used to know Miss Green. She used to live in that house, her and her husband. But she died many years ago." And that's not what you want to tell a little child.
No.
Yeah, I remember when I came home from school and I told my mom. She was so mad that my teacher told me that. But she told me a little history about it and stuff, and I was just like, wow.
I've always wanted to like, part of me wish I wasn't such a scaredy cat, because like, if anything, I would so go into like a haunted house and like and stay the night over there and do all the history behind it and who died in there and what foundation it sits on. But I'm such a scaredy cat that I can't even drive past houses like that. Like, like those old colonial houses.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
I think they're absolutely gorgeous, but don't make me go past it at night though, because I'd be terrified. Like I'm such a scaredy cat. Okay, I cry when I feel like there's something that's gonna attack me. When I'm at home by myself, all the lights are on. I sleep with lights on. I just no.
You think I would, but I don't. I stay in darkness.
I do too. So with all that history, like, did you have anything that truly was malicious?
Like anything that tried to like attack you or hurt you or just
not in that house.
But what about in any like experience that you've had throughout your lifetime?
I have had one that I've woken up with questionable marks that I couldn't explain. It would be little scratches that I couldn't figure out how.
Right. Did you like feel any like bad energy in that particular place before you got the marks?
A presence. You can feel a presence.
But you never actually like seen it, or it didn't do anything except those marks on you?
That the place I'm referring to now is where I live now. Now I haven't.
Oh, are you still there?
Told you I'm used to it. Here.
Oh, you into that ghost kinky stuff?
I can feel like somebody standing over me when I'm asleep, and I'll wake up.
Remind me not to come over to your place, okay?
See, I should have told you.
Remind me not to ever come to your place. Like ever. I'll be in the front yard like, hey.
I will tell you, I mean, some weird thing. Now, I haven't personally, I don't think, maybe once I might have got a glimpse of it, but I've had two different people tell me that they seen this old black woman and she's angry. And at first, okay, the first one who told me that was my ex-husband. He used to tell me she would wake him up all angry. And I didn't really believe him. Okay, I didn't. I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I had a friend of mine who come and stayed for like 3 or 4 days. And then he told me the same thing. And they don't even know each other. And I never told him about it. And he described her exactly the same way my ex-husband described her. So I was like, I guess he was seeing somebody in here, something. But when he was here those 3 or 4 days, he was asleep, and I was going to my bathroom, and as I opened the door up, I thought I seen a face right there, right up next to the door, and I'm thinking, how did you wake up and appear right there at the door that quick? But then when I look beyond past the door, I'm like, oh no, he's still asleep. So it wasn't him. So I might have seen it that time, but it was like really quick. So I
Right.
couldn't even describe it, but it just looked like I saw a face. But that would be the only time that I may have. But like I said, they have. And then I've had other people say they've experienced things here. And I had, when I had my parrot, I had moved my parrot in front of the window so, he could get some sunlight. And I had a mason jar that I would put water in, and that's what I would use to put water in his little thing. And I had it sitting behind the bird cage in the windowsill. Now this was a big, large bird cage, and the windowsill is real low.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in my bedroom, and I'm talking to my sister on the phone, and then all of a sudden I hear the glass like tumble on the ground, and I get up and I go in there because at this point I do not know that it's this mason jar that was behind the bird cage. So I get up to go investigate what the noise was that I heard. I'm like, how why does that sound like glass? So I go in my living room and the mason jar is sitting up in the middle of the floor. It looks like somebody literally just placed it right there perfectly. It wasn't on its side. It wasn't flipped upside down. It was sitting there perfectly still with that little bit of water in the bottom of it. So
Mm,
I went and I'm looking at the bird. I'm trying to first understand how it would even come out the windowsill
right.
and how it would make it up and over. My bird was locked in the cage. And even if he wasn't, I highly doubt that he could have done that.
I
Mm.
doubt it. I doubt he could have done it.
Because he would have had to fit down in there and try to wiggle that jar up out of it and then toss it over like that. And I just no. He was safely locked in his bird cage. There was no one else here. And I used to keep a camera in my living room. And two different times I've caught things on the camera because I would be away from home and then it would let me know when there's movement in the living room. Now, if I'm not here, there shouldn't be movement in the living room. So when I looked at it, I seen this like little white ball. It came from my floor straight up towards the ceiling and then it shot straight to the left. Don't know what that was. Some people try to say it was lint. I've never seen lint come from the ground and go straight up and then go to the left. Someone tried to tell me that it was probably sunshine hitting somebody's windshield. Well, if anybody knows me, they know I keep all my windows closed. It's got the
Right.
blinds. It's got what do you call them? Blackout curtains.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lights not coming in my house. So I don't know what that was. The other one, it looked like something white flew towards the camera and then flew off.
Mm-mm. See, that's another reason why I can't have like the white noise. You know, like the old TVs. If you switch to them old,
That static.
yes, I can't
Mhm.
stand that. And to make it worse, at night when they do the emergency broadcasting system,
Mhm.
Yeah.
'cause I sleep with the TV on. When that shit pops up, oh my god, I get terrified. I mute it and I hide underneath the blanket.
Girl, over a sound.
Yes, over that sound. I look, I watch way too many horror movies.
No, you don't.
I've seen enough.
It's like, what?
Hey, maybe two's a lot for her.
I've seen enough. Look, okay. My heart can't take it. When I tell you that my heart literally feels like it's gonna beat out of my chest when I get scared, like I don't know what else, like I feel like I'm literally gonna die
Mm.
Lord.
when that happens. Like my heart feels like it's my pulse is like skyrocketed, and it's just something that I don't ever want to experience ever, 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 ever in
Mhm.
my life. That's just no.
Ooh, I have one last question. So, have you experienced anything demonic?
Give me an example.
How do you exemplify?
Because
Wouldn't that fall underneath the what are the
Not
things
really
that
malicious.
are?
That um, a demonic entity could be present without being malicious.
would
Like it
that
could
not
just
be the things that I've been experiencing?
Yeah, one that would be just like any.
not necessarily. It could just be a very a malevolent, that word, benevolent spirit, but not necessarily demonic. Just a very pissed off spirit or a confused spirit, but not necessarily demonic. Like a confused is why they're dead, what's going on, and just very pissed off about it. So not necessarily, if you're catching what I'm trying to say.
I have a confused look. Um,
Like basically, she does. You've watched Ghost Whisperer before, right?
a little bit.
Okay, you know at the beginning of each episode, there's like the ghost that looks pissed off at the
Mhm.
beginning, doesn't know what's going on. Like
Mhm.
they're trying to, yeah, like that.
Yeah,
Have you experienced like a ghost or a spirit or anything that's just like trying to figure out what's going on? They think that you're in their house, not them in your house. Like
I
you're the intruder.
I don't think so, but then I really don't know. I haven't had anything, nothing like a ghost whisperer thing. No.
You know what? I wish, like I said, I wish I was not terrified because I would so want to be like the ghost whisperer.
I
I
am
don't know
not
if I
terrified.
would, because that could be
Yeah,
very tiresome because they don't
that's what
have
I
a
was gonna say.
concept of time, so they're always going to be bothering you.
And if you
You
watch
know
the
what?
Ghost
I've
Whisperer,
seen that when every time you watch like those kinds of like shows, like I even there's some in like my Korean shows like that. They just like bombard the person. They're like, "Oh, you can see me? Oh my God! Well, I need you to do this. I need you to like, you know, go and talk to my family and tell, I'm just like, I'm not your messenger. Bye.
right?
Hmm. And just think about it, you would not have a life because your
Yeah,
whole
you
life
really
would be
wouldn't have
just
a
for
normal
them.
life.
And I mean, how would even a relationship work? You couldn't have a personal relationship.
I would so like if I was the ghost whisperer, her husband was cool until he died.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's true.
But then
That is
his
true.
spirit came back as like what, his friend or something like that.
Something. Yeah, that was so confusing because he didn't look like him, but he was him. And
It made
they
me
would
cry, but at the same time, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how I would feel because even though I know he's my husband, you don't look like my husband."
yeah.
What would you do if you heard a conversation happening and it sounded like it come from your air conditioner, so you assume maybe somebody's out in your yard talking and you go outside and there's nobody out there?
First off, I'm not gonna be going outside.
You forget she's a scaredy cat. I
Okay.
would look
Second
outside
off,
and then shut the door.
look, Amber's just like you. She would go and investigate. You see, in horror movies, she will be the first one to die.
No, we wouldn't because no, we wouldn't.
First off, me and you can't run, Amber. How you gonna investigate? Turn around, it chasing you. You can't run.
I mean,
We
it can
no.
chase me, but it's got to get through me first. And it can't get through me because I have a shield up because
Okay.
I'm not scared.
Okay, first of all, in reality, you can't outrun a spirit. In the movies you can, but in reality you can't.
I'm not
Well, it's
going
not
to.
really spirits in the movies. It's really the serial killers. And have you seen? I've seen the funny part where it's like in the movie you see them, like jump right in front of you, and then it like jumps to like behind the scenes, and it's like the serial killer jumps in the car and like meets you, finds
And
your
then starts
final
walking
point.
slow.
Yeah, and then he starts walking really slow. I'm just like, oh, okay, that makes me okay with watching. I kid you not, okay? My old coworkers pulled a horrible prank on me. In the very first hotel that I worked at, okay, it was an old hotel. Amber can tell you, that's where she went for her honeymoon. So it's an
Yeah.
old 3 separate buildings with with 2 courtyards, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we had in Halloween time, there was this huge haunted house that was going on down South Parkway. I mean, it was huge. It was very popular.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have, special guests. Well, one year it was the special guest, the original actor that played Michael Myers. So he stayed at the hotel. So I didn't know. Everybody knew I'm such a scaredy cat. Okay. He dressed normal, so I didn't know who he was. Okay. So at the time, I was just working front desk. I wasn't like a manager or anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else did. And so they asked me, they were like, "Hey, do you mind working Halloween?" And I'm like, "Look, in this big ass hotel, have me somebody here with me, then I'm cool." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll have, the security guard here." And at the time we had a bar. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're like, the bar lady's gonna be there working. I was like, cool, then I'm fine,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I seen them. I kid you not, my coworker was like, look, she's absolutely terrified. Okay. This guy dressed up as Michael Myers because he was gonna be at the haunted house. He was doing a signing, and then he was gonna be the scarer or whatever inside the haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
He came to the hotel. I worked until 11 o'clock that night. Actually, I had to stay a little bit over because my night audit was late. And my fucking coworker comes in under the disguise of, oh, I was just in town because our hotel was in the main road on University, which has like the 2 colleges that we're smack in the middle of. So like everything's down that road. So she was at UAH and she was like, oh, I'm just stopping by, seeing how everything was, because she always stopped by. So it was not, anything abnormal to me that she was stopping by. And she went into the back office. Now in the back office, it's all where the lights are. Okay. This bitch turned off all the fucking lights. And shut. Now there's 2 sliding doors, one from the outside, and then there's the middle part, like one sliding door, middle part, other sliding door to get into the hotel. Okay. She locked the fucking doors. And when I tell you he came banging on the freaking door, dressed up as Michael Myers, I freaked. Okay, to the point where I hid in the back office and I called the police. I kid you not, I called the police. She's trying to stop me, like she's banging on the office door. She's like, Francie, just open up. I'm like, no, you need to hide. Like I was telling her she needs to hide. Okay. There were multiple times where we've talked about how we were going to kill Michael Myers and Jason if we ever seen them. And so she was trying to calm me down. She's like, well, we can just do what we were saying that we were going to do. And I was like, where the hell are we going to get a wood chipper? Because, we were going to say we were going to, throw them in the wood chipper and we were going to kill them and spread out their body parts. And so I was like yelling at her. And then she said, Francie, just open up the door. I was like, no, I'm not going to open up this door. So this bitch, the office that I was in, the window is facing the main courtyard in between the first and the second building, okay? She let him in, and he was at the window of the office. And then apparently, she had stopped and told the police like what's going on because I'm in the back office freaking out and wondering where the police are. And then the police never came. And then when she finally was like, oh, they're out. Like, everything got quiet. All the lights came back on. I came slowly out. Police was out in the lobby just laughing. Like, they're like, you just called us for, like, he took off, his boots. Because believe it or not, the original actor for Michael Myers is actually quite short. Mm-hmm. So he took off his boots. He was talking all normal. Didn't know who the fuck he was. And she's over here laughing. She's like, happy Halloween. I said, oh, you have 10 seconds to run out. This is when I was still able to run, by the way. I said, you got 10 seconds to run out this damn door and get in your car and drive off. Because I know exactly where you live. I cried. Y'all, I cried so hard.
I remember living in one of my mother's homes, and me and my brothers were in one particular room, and we saw an entity pass through the walls.
Is that the one y'all said was holding a knife?
Different one.
Oh.
See, y'all be and then y'all act like it's okay. No. Why would you be okay seeing a ghost holding a knife?
Oh, I was twirling. I had just washed my hair, so I was just twirling around and letting my hair just like flip around and get the air into it. And I turned around and I saw the entity holding the knife. Yeah, that was interesting. And then more recently, in the last 2 years, like I was laying on my bed, my husband was talking to me, and he turned around and left. And then I felt something sit down beside me, and I turned around to look because I was thinking it was Michael or my husband. And I turned around, there's nothing there. So I just turned back around and went back to sleep. I don't know what it was. So I went to sleep. And then in the last apartment I was at, I had was getting ready to go to sleep, and something reached up and grabbed my foot and tugged it. That one got to me.
Do you think it's the same? Like, do you think? Have you guys basically had the same ghost follow you?
No.
That's what I want. What Francie's talking about is what I wondered, because that's not normal. I can't say in every place I lived in.
So basically, you were haunted.
It does make me question, because that's not normal to keep moving into places and things keep happening. So it made me wonder if something's attached to me.
Yeah. I say no for me because nothing ever happened except for, when I lived with my mom. after living with my mom, nothing ever happened until I saged. Whenever I would sage a house is whenever I would feel spirit. If I never sage, I didn't feel nothing. Like in this place, I've never saged it. Usually I sage when I first move in. I have never saged this place and I haven't felt anything and I feel at peace. But if I was to sage, then I probably would feel something. And I found it's because there's certain types of sages to use, and I've been using white sage. And apparently, white sage has to be blessed by the ancestors before you use it. So if you don't use sage properly, it can counteract what you're really trying to do. So I feel like I was saging using the wrong sage, which was causing me to experience
You was bringing them
instead of getting rid of them, I was adding on to them. Yeah, but here I haven't felt anything in this place, and so I don't plan on saging.
Do you remember the things that happened in M6?
I remember a lot of things. Okay, first of all, viewers and listeners, if you haven't noticed by now, our special guest is my mother.
Wow, you didn't say anything bad. She like owned you now.
I got owned.
So,
You
well,
got recognized.
that's because the way the conversation's going, it's like you put two and two together, you kind of guess. So,
No, they
yeah.
could have figured out. You may never know. They might have thought that you guys were roommates at one point.
First of all,
Technically,
I'm too young to be her roommate.
who says who?
Hey, I'm 19.
19 for the 47th time.
Man, according to your granddaughter, she outed you so quick.
But yeah, I remember I had different experiences from what my mother had. Okay, just now my damn bathroom door just opened. Now we done talked it up. It just opened. I know y'all heard it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I had different experiences than what my mother had in that place. But one thing I can say that I think we both heard was like a choir coming out of the bathroom.
Yep.
But I was laying on the couch and I saw heads like circling around. It was all black people, older black people, and it was just their heads. Like I was laying down and just their heads would be up there just circling around. And then I would hear people wash dishes all the time.
Oh,
They were
5 o'clock
trying
every
to tell you
morning.
to wash the damn dishes.
There would be no dishes in there because Mama already washed them, but you would hear it every night. The
No,
dishes
you
would be washing.
early in the morning. It would be
I heard
like
them at night.
I would hear it would wake me up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. The sound of dishes clanking, and I would always smell something sweet baking, like a cake, muffins. It
You
would
know
always be
what?
something sweet. And I went to all my neighbors in the whole building and asked them, were they cooking every morning, something sweet every morning that early, and no one was cooking.
I've always smelt beans. Like I don't know what it is, but like even when I was at like your place, the last place you were at, I would smell beans, like someone was cooking beans, but your husband would not be home and you weren't cooking anything. So
Yeah.
like I'm like, okay, so nothing's on the stove, but it smells straight up like if you were cooking some beans like right when it was fixing to be done on the stove.
But that place was haunted.
So I'm just like, but it is always no wonder why I always slept with the light on over there.
But
Like
you know
no,
what? The
always slept with the light on.
the first house I lived in, it had this unusual smell.
No matter how much you would clean it.
Yeah, my mom would clean and clean and clean, but that smell, it was always there. And I can't even describe it. It was a very odd smell.
A mothball.
No, it's not a smell that you would recognize every day. It's wasn't a normal smell.
Like the smell of death. Sulfur.
It wasn't no sulfur smell. It's not a smell I've ever smelled since. It just had this very odd.
See, now I wouldn't mind waking up to smelling something sweet. Now I'd be disappointed if I woke up and it ain't there.
Well, there was never nothing in that kitchen. Even the dishes didn't even look disturbed, but you would hear them clanking. It would sound like somebody was in there washing dishes and cooking.
They were preparing. See, like, even though I know that's probably like a nice, like, what is that movie with? I think it was with Charlize. No, it wasn't with Charlize Theron. What is that? What is that? It wasn't really scary because I could watch it without being freaked out. It was, the woman had 2 kids in that big old house that was full of fog. And she said there were like a group of workers that came in, and she told like the housekeepers, you cannot open these blinds. My son is allergic to the sunlight. Like, she was in this
That's the
big
one
old
with
house.
Julia Roberts.
No, it wasn't Julia Roberts. It wasn't Julia Roberts. It was, what's her name that's married to Keith Urban, I think.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it was her. Where they ended up being dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I need to actually see that again.
So, like, I actually liked that movie. It did freak me out at the end when I found out that they were dead. I was like, oh, shit. But then it came out to be, like, very nice, But, I think I'd still, well, it's not I think. I would still be terrified even though it was a friendly ghost. Like, nothing can be like Casper, okay? The ghost can't turn up to be like a cute little boy that takes you to a fucking dance. Like that shit.
And that boy was
I'm
not
sorry.
even
If that ghost turns into a cute boy, then I'll be terrified and running out for my dear life. There's like, oh, you can turn her human now? Oh no, 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 no. That's not happening. Like, I can't. Nope. I'm not coming to your house no more. Well, I never came to your house anyways, but I'm just not going to come to your house. Okay, you're just gonna have to meet us somewhere. I ain't going over there.
Come on, Francie. Now I'm cooking.
You can bring it over. Drop it off in your you drop it off in your mailbox, and I'll come and sweep it up in the mailbox.
The mailbox is at the door.
Yes, it's at the door.
You
put
have
it at the end of the street.
You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it.
Put it at the end of the street. No, I can't. No. No. That's you could make a movie out of all that, and at the end of the movie you could just say, oh, it just followed you from house to house, from childhood to adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
It got mad at you when you didn't do something that it liked, or added on ghosts on top of that. I was fixing to say something bad, but it wouldn't have sounded appropriate. So I'm just not going to say it at all.
Now inquiring minds is dying to know.
No, because we also have those people that are into like the really bad kinks, and I ain't fixing to entertain them. It ain't happening. No, ma'am.
Okay, so it's Nicole Kidman, and the movie's called The Others.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good movie. Like, I didn't freak out at that movie. Probably now I would freak out, even though I know what the ending is. But
let me see if it's on Netflix.
Probably not, because I haven't seen it.
Your stuff's in Korean.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything scary. The kids try to watch something scary. I said, go Go into your mama's profile. Don't go into mine.
That's why I have so many open things.
Like don't go. Don't. Do not.
We were watching The Ripper. Y'all watch The Ripper on Netflix.
Oh, I started that.
It is not on Netflix. Let me
Hello,
see.
hello.
Hey, we're good. We're just talking about ghost stories. If you got one, tell it.
If you got one, DM it to them because I've had enough for the night and I'm already to the point where I'm like, should I leave all my lights on? So let's DM them, okay? I'm good for ghost stories for the night.
Oh my
I'm
God,
already
come on, let me
freaked
search.
out. Like I'm antsy already.
I'm searching Hulu to see. So
I
it's
can look
really,
it up on Google TV and see where it's at.
okay, because I have like a ton of apps. If it's on Tubi, I can watch some ads. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's not on anything that you can
You
have to rent.
it is on Hulu, but it's on Cinemax.
Yeah, you would have to rent.
I can do 7-day free trial.
You go and do that. I'm not fixing it. No, just because of this, I'm gonna have to watch something really, really funny on Netflix.
What are you gonna? I mean, there wasn't nothing really scary.
It's no, it's still like it's okay. So there's different versions of like scary. Like for me, like anything that anybody has experienced personally, because then it's like, oh shit, that can happen to me. And then like my mind starts wandering. Then it's like, oh, well, what if it gets transferred to you? Then it's like, oh shit, no, don't need that because my ass is a scaredy cat and can't run. I'm already limping because my ankle, okay? I can't fight no ghosts because my
I would
wrist.
tell you this honestly, your vessel is like the perfect vessel for an entity to inhabit because you're such a vulnerable and scared being. You're not strong enough.
And hence why I don't go near that shit.
Yeah, but you should strengthen yourself because
And watching scary movies does not help that. It just kills me more because my heart rate goes up and my blood pressure goes up.
but you really do need to strengthen your spirit and your mind because there's going to be a battle that
I
you're
will
going to have to fight.
meditate and calm my ass down, but at the same time, no. I don't
Like,
go near, no.
I'm thinking, like, this is what I think, and it may be far off, but who's to know until it happens? But I think when we get to that point where we're in the process of dying, that we do have that spiritual warfare that we have to fight, and then the battle determines where we're placed.
Well, shit. Place me wherever. If I go and haunt somebody else, hell, I'll have some fun.
You might be a lost spirit.
I don't care. At this point, well,
I will tell you this.
well.
If you ever encounter anything like that, Francie, don't show fear. I'm telling you.
You're talking, okay. I kid
It
you
will
not. I
feed off your
threw my
fears.
phone, okay? I threw my phone when something jumped up on a fucking TV. Like, I did this whole jerking move, like, hit, I freaking popped an elbow and a whole arm out of socket and then threw my phone.
It will feed off your emotions.
That's why I said you have to strengthen yourself. You have to show no fear. That's why when the thing sat down beside me, I just turned over and went to sleep. Because if I would have shown fear, it would have more so like when that thing grabbed my foot, I showed a little bit more fear. I showed more fear in that than anything ever because it felt like my child was grabbing my foot and there was nobody awake but me.
Mm-hmm.
So that did get to me because I never been touched by a spirit before, but I was actually touched. So since I was actually touched and it felt real, I went and cuddled with my daughter. I sure did. I cuddled with my daughter. I was like,
You cuddle up with a person that is absolutely
No,
terrified.
I stayed awake. I did not go to sleep till about 8 o'clock in the morning. She was doing school, and I laid beside her, and I was like, because she was awake, I'm gonna go to sleep in her bed, and I cuddled her and went to sleep while she did her school.
Lord.
Yeah, because that did. I don't get freaked out easily, but that freaked me out. Really, it did. I was just not expecting to be fondled by a ghost at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Had a foot fetish over there.
Sure did. I want my $500 for that ghost touching my foot. I didn't say I do foot pics for $500. Cash App only. $ la la woo.
Silly.
I show my foot right now. If my Cash App light up, but it's not lighting up. But yeah, when I felt that, like, mm, my eyes were just all bug eyed. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna sage anymore until I get the right kind of sage. Because I'm not gonna get a blessing from a native in the traditional sense. Even though I do have native blood in me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not full blooded. So since I'm not full blooded, it doesn't I don't really matter. I'm not gonna say I don't really matter, but yeah, I probably don't matter. I probably don't. I don't matter to any of my halfies because I'm like such a blended person. There's not a category for me. But I don't know. I guess our ghost story talking is about over. We had a good little minute.
It's like, yeah, it's about 10:15.
Yeah, we've been on a good little minute. We had a great co-host today.
Mm-hmm. She got
You
over
would,
her fear.
I was gonna say you would never tell that she was scared. For those that are just joining at the end of this, you're gonna have to replay it and listen to the very beginning. It is juicy, filled with ghost stories, real life ghost stories, not fake made up ones.
So, anyways, you guys, we hope you guys have a great night, great day, great rest of the week. We will see you guys back here on Thursday for our normal crime podcast.
Watch
Thank
us
you.
live and
Yes.
cash at me that $500 for the foot pick. $, la la woo.
I'm so through with her.
LALAWOO.
No, okay. We are, and this is where we end it. Bye, you guys.